The Axie Infinity team has been on fire lately, pumping out news and sneak peeks of Origin, and today we get yet another set of full cards, and this time it is at the back card. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. We got the Reptile cards. There will be 6 cards for each class. So when it comes to Reptile, the first card that we see is Bone Sail. Now Bone Sail will be a defensive card for 1 energy with 60 shield. It is again a secret class. We don't really know what that secret means. It can target any ally, and next turn after the target is attacked, you can draw 1 card. Now I wonder how impactful drawing 1 card will be, because from what we know so far, you will not be able to retain energy or cards for the next round, or for the next turn, depends what kind of terminology they go with. So you play your cards and then they disappear and your energy disappear and you get another set of cards. So it is more fast-paced than what we know right now. When it comes to the Tri-Spikes, it goes with the name, deal 3 hits, very simple, 25 damage each hit, so it could be okay. I don't think that's gonna be an OP card by any means, but it could do damage, especially with something like a poison, so it triggers 3 times, and we can see a poison card right here. Now 1 energy doesn't have any offensive or defensive statistic, but what it does is it applies 2 poison times 6 times to random targets. Heal this Axie for 20 health. Now I don't think healing for 20 health will be impactful. I think the base health for every Axie is 320 if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me in the comment section if that's wrong. I think it's 320 or 360. But apply 2 poison times 6 times to random targets, and then if you trigger Tri-Spikes on another Axie, it potentially can do some damage. And again with Gila, which attacks everyone and then deals extra damage when they are poisoned, could be something to think about. Now, Indian Star, which is another defensive card, 60 shield, so there's no discrepancies there. If you want to go for shields, you will be looking at a Reptile back cards. Target any ally, and next turn after the target is attacked, you reflect 25% of your shield lost. Interesting, definitely a needed nerf to the reflect cards. Hopefully would have come sooner, but we'll see how that impacts the game. It doesn't look OP. None of these cards so far seem OP or like a brain dead card that you have to play. Red Ear, very simple, target any ally, provide them with 65 shield. And Croc, you can target any ally again next turn. I really like the target any ally approach. It looks like there will be quite a lot of skills, a lot of prediction, so that people that can take advantage in that way will definitely do much better in the competitive season of Axie Infinity. Next turn after the target is attacked, apply bleed to the attacker for 4 turns. Now one thing that I need to mention is that I was thinking 4 turns will be a long time when I was making the tail Origin cards, but there will be no rounds anymore. Everything will be counted in turns, so 4 turns might actually not be a lot, because if you use Tri-Spike or if your opponent uses Tri-Spike, then 3 of those turns are already gone. The next set of cards that we have is of course birds, but it should come without a surprise that bird cards will be highly offensive. Now Balloon, no longer a 0-cost card, now it is a 1-cost that deals 60 damage and it applies Fear for 4 turns. Cupid, 60 damage, apply Bleed for 4 turns. Raven, 60 damage, shuffle 1 Jinx into your opponent's discard pile. So very simple cards. Every single card has 60 damage, and this is the approach that I really like for Axie Infinity to move forward. Those cards will be very easy to balance. 60 damage, utility. 60 damage, utility. Simple process, simple pattern, and you have options to choose from, because all these 3 cards are pretty much the same. It doesn't matter which one you go for. It depends on the utility that fits your team, rather than a Balloon simply being better than Cupid. They will all be somewhat the same, and then you can choose the best one that fit your team. Pigeon Post, 55 damage, but it adds 1 blackmail to your opponent's hand. Wonder what blackmail is. Maybe it deals damage, maybe it discards your opponent's card, whatever that might be. Kingfisher doesn't have any damage. It can target any ally, and next attack against the target is reflected for 85 damage. Very interesting to see what people can come up with, especially that we have already seen taunt in the play. So let's say you have bird on the back lane and you play kingfisher on your mid lane, and your mid lane uses a taunt, therefore they're going to reflect 85 damage. Interesting. Just something that I thought of right now. Maybe it won't work that way, but we should see some interesting combos popping through. Try further 25 damage, and it attacks all enemies, so effectively 75 damage if you use it while all of your allies, all of your opponents are still alive. Beast cards, again, we should see a lot of high damage cards. Ronin, 40 damage, it deals 50% more damage per energy spent this round. Interesting concept. It all depends on how much energy you get per round, which we don't really know right now. How many zero costs that generate energy are still in the game. We have seen Cottontail and Nemo, so having a Cottontail Ronin beast might be something to think of, because if you Cottontail and you use another one energy from another Axie, then Ronin obviously will deal a little bit more damage. Hero, 1 cost, 60 damage, draw 1 card. Very simple. Jaguar, 60 damage, apply bleed for 4 turns. Again, very simple. Risky Beast going to 90 damage, and it applies weak to this Axie for 2 turns. Wonder what weak is. Maybe it is more susceptible to damage, maybe it has lower shield, something like that, along those lines for weak. Timba, a defensive card for a beast. It can target any ally, and next turn after an ally is attacked, it will add 1 lumber shield to your hand. I'm expecting lumber shield to be a 0 cost with relatively low shield, maybe 20. That's something that I'm thinking of when it comes to shuffling a card into your pile. Fairball, 40 damage, and it deals 2 hits, so effectively 80 damage. So that looks like it's a little bit better than Jaguar and Hero, so we'll have to think if they move forward with that. Now Bug, one thing that's already popping into my vision is the Garish Worm for 120 damage, but let's take it slowly. Snail Shell, great art, already loving the art. Beautiful job done by the team. 60 shield, so it hasn't really changed much. Target any ally. Next turn after the target is attacked, you can shuffle 1 goo into your opponent's discard pile. So a lot of skills, a lot of secret cards that we don't really know what they will do. Yeah, the goo, weak, timber, everything being shuffled into your opponent's discard pile, but we don't really know what that will do. Garish Worm, a 2 energy cost that deals 120 damage, so similar to Koi, and it applies 2 poison per attack card played this turn, so might be worth comboing that one with an offensive 0 cost. Attack all enemies from Buzz, doing only 20 damage, and it shuffles 1 daze into your opponent's discard pile. Attacking all enemies, effectively 60 damage if you do draw it at the start. If you don't, then the value decreases. And then shuffling 1 daze, again, we don't know what that is. Sandal, 100 damage for 2 energy, so we are seeing the same pattern, a lot of 2 energy costs. It applies to fear for 2 rounds. If target previously has fear, then it deals 50% more damage. That's a much better approach, and that bases your team off of utility rather than simply the class like we have seen Sandal before. Scarab, 30 damage, and it gains 30 shield. Apply doubt for 4 turns. What is doubt? Maybe the first thing that comes into my head is if someone has doubt, they will attack your team randomly, if that makes sense. So they will attack a random Axie. That's just a thought that I'm having of what doubt might be. Spike Wing, 70 damage, and it deals 25% more damage to shield. Not sure I like this approach. I really like when it was a 0 cost and he dealt more damage. Maybe bumping it to 50% is better if you reduce the attack. I wonder how that will do. Aquatic card, Hermit, no longer has any attack or defense value. It's still a 1 energy cost, and it can target any ally. Negate 1 next attack on targeted ally. Interesting. Again, very interesting. We'll have to see how many 0 costs that are offensive will be in the meta, and that will determine whether Hermit will be a good card. Blue Moon, very simple, 60 damage. So it looks like that's what they have settled for. If it's a 1 energy simple card, it will have either 60 damage or 60 shield, and then some sort of a a very reasonable utility. So Blue Moon, drawing 1 card. Goldfish, 65 attack. If initial, draw 1 card. Again, a little bit more damage to compensate because you do have a something that you have to accomplish before you draw 1 card. So it makes sense. This is a close call. Whereas right now, Blue Moon is simply better than Goldfish. And in this scenario, Goldfish might be better if your Aqua is a little bit slower. Actually, if it's a little bit faster, it makes sense to go for Goldfish. We'll see if Speed will be playing the same part as it is. Sponge, again, great art. Target any ally. Next turn, apply 5 damage boost to shield the target if its shield is broken. Pretty much the same thing. Whenever this is drawn, heal 20 HP. So Anemone is still working in pretty much the same way, except it's an offensive card, dealing 50 damage and having a little bit of utility. Purge, 2 energy cost that deals 30 damage. It deals 4 hits, prioritizing target with lowest health. Wow. Okay, so that can have some outplay potential, especially if you play, let's say, a Purge mid lane and you have a backdoor. If we still have backdoors on your back lane, you go for the back lane, you don't necessarily have to kill them, but you can use the Purge to finish them off. Interesting concept. Plant cards. Turnip, 60 attack, 1 energy cost. After your opponent summons a unit, you deal 25 damage to it. What do you mean, summons a unit? This is a very interesting sneak peek. What do you mean summons a unit? Will there be some sort of a unit that you can summon every game? Maybe you will be limited to 1. Maybe that's where runes and charms come into play. We'll have to see. Maybe there will be place for them. Shitak, or as I prefer, Shittake, it summons a mushroom. Maybe that's a unit. Maybe that's a unit. It doesn't have any health. It doesn't have any shield, so it has to be doing something. Bidens, again, 1 energy cost. It can target any ally and remove all debuffs on that target. So essentially the same thing that it's doing right now, except that you will be able to target, and it will be a 1 energy. Watering Can, it can target any ally. Next turn, after an ally is attacked, you add 1 pure water to your hand. Again, no idea what that might be. So a lot of things being added. It looks like this game will be very complicated at first, but then it will allow you plenty of options to build your perfect team, or a team that you want to have quite a lot of fun with, allowing plenty of combos to be possible within the game. Mint, 20 shield, and shield your team and apply 1 cleanser. So just a very supportive card from the looks of it. Pumpkin, it can target any ally. Next turn, after the target is attacked, you draw 1 card. So still staying true to what the card was doing in Axie Infinity as we know it now. And that's pretty much it for the back cards that we have. If I want to highlight something, first thing is making it much more simple. 60 damage utility, and you have close call between going for Blue Moon or Goldfish, depending on what you want to go for. Another highlight right here on the bird cards. Balloon, Cupid, Raven, all pretty much the same cards depending on what you want to go for, which means that the balancing should be much closer and therefore more possibilities within a meta rather than 3 to 4 teams that are available, and otherwise you will not make the top rankings. So that's my thoughts on these cards. If I wanted to highlight anything, I think Ronin, especially with some 0 costs that do deal damage, actually 0 costs that do increase your energy and then deal some damage. It could be an interesting combo. And then we see stuff like the Fireball, which deals 80 damage again, and attacking all enemies is an interesting concept, because if you have some sort of a way to draw more cards and then have those AoEs, let's say combine that with the backdoor of a Purge, just very interesting concepts, and a lot of concepts that spring to mind when you start thinking of what these cards can actually do. So let me guys know which back cards is your favorite from what you have seen right here. For me, it is definitely Ronin as well as Purge. I think there's a couple of interesting combos that we can do right there. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give me a like. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily playthrough and content, and I will see you